This episode of Joyride is being brought to you by High Bank. High Bank is a proud Columbus-based distillery. Look for High Bank spirits at your local liquor store and favorite bars around the city. By purchasing High Bank spirits, you're supporting and drinking local. Drink local, drink High Bank.
You're listening to Joyride, a podcast for people who love cars. Now sit back and enjoy the ride.
Okay, and we're back. This is episode X of X. We don't know.
We don't know what the episode numbers are yet.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in. This is Joyride Pod. I'm Pete.
And I'm Rob.
We are going to talk about what we saw this week. What did you see this week?
So this week, I saw a couple of things. Firstly, I saw a CTSV.
Oh.
And it was the two-door, so not the sedan.
Okay.
I don't know. Do they still make those in four-door?
They do.
Okay.
I do. I think so.
Okay.
I think they make them in 4-doors and not 2-doors, actually.
Well, no, this was definitely a CTSV.
Was this the coupe?
It was
Yeah.
definitely a coupe. And it was dark gray. Looked like it had an aftermarket exhaust on it. The exhaust tips on this thing were like the size of a coffee can. Like, there were
Really?
two of them. Like they were huge. Guy and his lady friend driving around in it. It looked and sounded great. I'm sort of torn on the CTSV, at least now. I don't
Yeah.
know. How do you feel about it?
You know, I love the idea of it at the time. So I'm a big, like, horsepower fast. Like, you know, like from a kid, I was always trying to make stuff go faster and like wanted to drive or ride the fastest thing. And so at the time of the CTSV, I think it was like one of the fastest production cars out. And so I was absolutely in love with that. But from a design perspective, I loved the front. I loved like the side profile, and then as soon as you started to get to the back, I was like, did we really have to? It just felt
And that was that.
it was
That's where
just
I'm
like
getting
really
to.
pointy, and I was like, wow,
Yeah.
congratulations for carrying this. I mean, it just felt lazy. It felt like it just didn't.
Yeah, there's something about the rear end of the CTSV that isn't. I'm going to pull up a picture of it here.
It's just tough to love.
The front of it is outstanding, and that's why when you look for pictures of a CTSV, they're all from the front three-quarter view because it looks really, really good.
Yeah.
From that angle.
And you're talking like an early one, right?
Yeah. My problem is I don't like the way that it was one like this guy here.
Yeah.
I don't like this weird taillight reflector thing that goes in between the two rear taillights.
You know what that reminds me of is an old school limousine with the
Yes.
antenna on the back trunk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't like the way the taillights wrap up on top of the trunk at all. I think that looks kind of bizarre. It's Cadillac. They do some interesting things with their design choices, and they tried something. It was different.
Yeah.
I don't like it. I like, if you look, 2017, 2016, they sort of, they tucked those taillights back under, but they still keep that weird
I know.
reflector bar. I'm not crazy about it.
It was kind of a major shift in design when that came out, because that really that was the halo car from a design perspective that laid claim to the new generations of Cadillacs, right? And you got that. I mean, those taillights carried over into headlights and taillights of crossover SUVs.
Yeah.
But even on the CT6, the headlights of the CT6, I mean, are in the taillights to an extent, are all like inspired off of that 2012. Was it 2012 when that came out? 2011.
Well, this is 2011. So, and it was one of the earlier models because the exhausts were mounted in the middle like that.
Right.
The later models looked like they mounted them off to the sides again.
Right.
So it had to be one of the original ones, which is why the styling looked a little more old school.
It didn't age as awesome.
The front, I still think the front is incredibly attractive for a car. But yeah, I agree that.
Do you think Cadillac could ever, I mean, in its chase and pursuit to be like a legitimate M3 BMW, not M3, but BMW 3 Series
Well, I mean, the
or-
CTSV
or C-Class,
and the
you know.
ATSV, they're going right after the M cars.
But do you think they're doing it okay? Like, I don't. If I had the option, like, okay, you're a young attorney at a major law firm, you come out of an Ivy
Why is
League.
Why is the attorney always your go-to?
Because those are the guys I know the most. I don't know. But
okay, fair point.
awesome job, right? One of the jobs is you get a car, you get a lease, you know, per diem. You basically have an ATS. I think it's an ATS, Cadillac ATS.
Yeah. It's the
BMW
smaller
3
one.
Series.
Yeah.
Or Mercedes C-Class, right?
Yeah.
Do you ever pick the Cadillac?
I think if you want American, you go Cadillac, right? I mean, if you want to buy, what else are you going to buy? If you want a classy, fast, luxury sedan or coupe, what are you going to buy? What else is there?
That's American?
That's American made. Does anybody else even do, you know?
I mean, I was going to say Lincoln, but that's...
What do they have that has that kind of horsepower, though? That kind of performance? Because these cars are performance cars.
Yeah.
They're, you know, like, I think they've probably fallen by the wayside a little bit.
Let me clarify, when I say Lincoln, like, it's like a throwaway because he can't, I mean, if like, Cadillac, in my estimation, can't compete with a 3 Series or C-Class. Certainly a Lincoln isn't doing it for me either, but
I think, you know, if you're a certain kind of buyer that your interest lies in, I want to buy American, and those guys are out there. You know, I try to buy American whenever I can for things, and I own 2 foreign cars currently. But, you know, I think that's probably it. You know, I think styling-wise, the 2019 I'm looking at right now, I think looks better than the BMW.
They made an STS, I think, 2012 or 2013. It had like an aluminum block, 5.7 liter V8, like massive, and then they put a small supercharger on it. That was an interesting car, but they're heavy too, and then the suspension was still.
That's been the killer for Cadillac is that they're heavy, and I'm assuming that the performance has fallen off. I don't know for sure, but I know that when the CTS and the ATS-V first came out, they were in a lot of.
Did the ATS come out in a V?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's
ATS-V,
cool.
and I think that's probably the one you go for. Have you seen anything cool this week?
You know, yes, 95 Acura NSX.
You saw one of those?
I did.
Oh
yeah.
man,
Yeah.
I love that car.
And I don't know if they called it a Targa or a top coupe, but it essentially is a Targa, right? It's a removable hardtop,
Right? Yeah,
and I think that car looks absolutely awesome in that.
It still does. Oh
I would
my
never
gosh.
want a true coupe, and I would never want a convertible.
No. You got to keep if you did a convertible, the way that car is, the dome of that car is designed, it would kill that car the way it looks.
But they did it. I think they did it. See if I can find.
I'm seeing lots of pictures of the coupe. I haven't seen one of the
convertible.
convertible yet, but that car. Oh man.
And it's the old body style.
Yeah.
The thing that's interesting about it though, and I didn't realize until I went later and looked it up. Like I thought, I mean, it's not a supercar. Is it a super? Do you consider an NSX a supercar?
I consider the new one a supercar, and I
Okay.
know there's been arguments that say it's a sports car, but I think they were the first company that made a supercar that you could live with like a sports car.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, I know like the performance values of the new NSX aren't kind of up to par with what everybody else was doing. But I think that some of the sacrifices they made were around, hey, you can live with this car.
Right.
You can go.
You can daily it.
You can daily it
Yeah.
if you wanted to. Yeah, and I've seen one of the new ones. This was months ago. I haven't seen it recently.
Lindsay had a ton of them last
Yeah.
Cars and Coffee I was at.
Yeah.
I mean, but it was at Lindsay Acura, Lindsay Honda.
Shout out Lindsay Acura.
Yeah. So I went back in the 95. Like I always thought
Did
in my
that
head
have
they
the
were
fold up headlights?
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
god, that's
Yeah.
What happened to fold up headlights, man?
The 2000s?
I know, but like, you know, like so many cars, so many old iconic cars, and we
You
love
watch,
that.
they'll come back.
We love that. You know, we love the fact that they can fold down and you get the super sleek front end, and then at night they just pop up.
I mean, with the way headlights go and how integrated everything is with the arrow now and everything, like, I don't know that you'll ever truly see it, but also, does federal law require you to have daylights or day running?
Daylight running lights. Yeah,
I don't
mean,
know.
You could do both. I gotta imagine.
I guess you could.
Like if you were, I've got a picture up here of the NSX. Like if you could put the daylight running lights in those lower high beam reflectors or whatever. I'm sure the technology.
No, that's true. That's true.
And then the other ones would pop up. But yeah, maybe for it's a beautiful looking car. It looks.
The 95 is relatively. I mean, the performance stats aren't overwhelming. 250 horsepower.
Oh, really? They're that low?
Yeah.
Is that the only engine model they made?
3 liter with 252 horse at 7,100
That's a small
RPM.
car, though.
That's what I'm thinking. I don't know. I always thought of them, but when they came out, do you remember a guy at our high school drove one?
No.
You don't remember that?
No.
So he was older than us. He was a senior when we were a freshman.
See, I was a little bit of an outcast when I was a freshman.
I wasn't his friend. I just saw him and his sweet girlfriend, like always rolling around in his NSX.
No, I didn't realize somebody had an NSX.
Yeah. At the time, it wasn't new.
Pretty new though,
but it's pretty new. So 4 years old, 5 years old, relatively new, right?
Ballin'.
Yeah. Well, his parents had.
I love the look.
Money.
My problem with a lot of old stuff, like old Ferraris and stuff like that, is that I feel like if you were to buy one, they would fall apart on you instantaneously, and you have to have that either like super deep pockets to run and maintain it, or it's got to be a garage queen, or know what you're doing and be able to fix it yourself, which I've heard that's a nightmare with Ferraris. This thing has almost Ferrari-like appeal, especially if you get it in red.
Yeah.
It really, it's got that, but it's also got that lovely Japanese, styling to it.
It certainly does. Nothing more Japanese than the automatic transmission this thing had. How do you feel about, like, you could have an Acura NSX, but it has to be an automatic?
Ooh.
Do you do it?
Do
you do it?
I don't know that I could do it.
Yeah, right. Free and clear. Of course you do it, but...
Free and clear, I would do it. Yeah.
But you're still sad.
It only came in an automatic?
No, the one I saw was an automatic.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was like, ooh.
But see, then every time you get into one, you're going to think, God, I wish it was a manual.
Yeah. I mean, I love the layout.
Yeah.
And I think I'm kind of partial because I think we talked about this before. My first car was a 91 Accord.
Right.
So they share a lot of design cues on the interior.
Absolutely.
And I'm using the term loosely, obviously, as share, but I mean, there are some knobs and font types. I basically drove an NSX.
Yeah, that's what you're trying to say. You drove an NSX. That's phenomenal.
Yeah, so that was my neat thing for the week.
Now, how did you? Was it parked somewhere? How did you it was a manual?
It was
or an automatic.
Yeah, it was on a car dealership lot.
Oh, okay. What was the price tag on it?
59,000.
Ooh,
yeah.
How many? Do you know how many miles was on there?
46,000.
Okay,
43,000.
Does that seem a little
44.
high?
It's one of those like aftermarket used car dealerships that only deal in exotics and kind of. So I'm sure there's some price inflation. It's also Columbus, Ohio, so
right.
But I don't think materially different, right? I mean, 59 versus 57. I mean, what
yeah.
There's not that much variability, especially now with the lack of arbitrage in the car markets with the internet being what it is. Like,
yeah.
Doesn't matter if you're sitting in Idaho or Manhattan. The car's the car. Right.
Yeah. You can order it, have it delivered.
Yeah.
I know several people that have done that. Sight unseen, actually. I had a friend that bought a car.
Is that right?
Yeah. Shout out to my buddy Pitt. Bought a Shelby Super Snake, sight unseen, off of a website and had it shipped to him.
I mean, there's got to be some sort of assurance there, right? Like, you don't spend that kind of money and not have like a guarantee.
Maybe. I don't know. We'll have to have him on. Have him talk about the process of buying
a car
sight unseen.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't do that. I'm way too particular of a person. I'm way too like specific, and unless I don't know that I could do it. What would you do if you could go to a dealership and you could test drive a car, right? Let's say M3. You go to a dealership, you buy an M3, you can test drive one, but you can buy it for, let's say it's 70 at the dealership, but you can buy it for 50 online, but you have to buy it sight unseen. All you get is pictures. Do you do it, or do you take the one you could test drive and know for certain that everything is what it is? and there's no scratches or dings or anything anywhere.
Yeah, I'm a value guy, so I'd probably buy the one sight unseen, knowing that I've got 20,000 of room.
Yeah.
To make it right if it has to be right.
I don't know that I could do it. I would probably have a hard time sleeping.
Yeah.
Not knowing that, because you can't refund it. You buy it and it's coming.
I think
to you.
I roll the dice.
You roll the dice
with that kind of delta. I mean, you're talking 20 grand.
Yeah.
On the same car, right? So it's 70 or 50.
Right.
Okay.
Over 5 years.
I think maybe I roll the dice on 20. If you said it was a $5,000 difference or even a $10,000,
yeah. What's the number?
What's the threshold?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, that's a tough call. I mean, and then let's throw a different variable.
Yeah.
There's maybe a $10,000 difference. So the car's 70 at the dealership, you can test drive, 60 online sight and see, but it's worth 85.
Right.
Now
it's a deal no matter where you go.
Yeah, right. So now how do you do it?
Yeah. I got to go with the one that I can sit in.
I don't disagree.
It's tough for me.
I think my deal, like cost versus value, like brain would get in the way of me making a more clear and decisive decision.
All right.
Decisive. That's not a word. Concise.
I am decisive.
I just heard it in my headphones. I was like, that's not a good word. No. It's not a word at all.
It is now.
Okay.
You've spoken it into the universe.
I've made it something.
All right. So today is our final episode of the year.
Season 1.
Season 1 is coming to...
Not final.
Not final.
Unless you guys ghost us. Just crickets are downloading these things.
Hey, if crickets are listening.
Yeah.
So this is going to be our final episode, and we felt like it would be a good way to go out with two sides to the coin, right? So we're going to briefly touch on, there's a few cars that are going to be disappearing from the North American market at the end of the year. And so we're going to briefly touch on those.
Gonzo.
Just done. R.I.P., out forever. And then we're going to get into the flip side of that, which is Car of the Year. A lot of publications have coming out with
I'll be the judge of that.
Well, there's some things to say.
Okay.
So we're going to get into the Car of the Year from various publications, and we'll just kind of get into it.
All right. So discontinued cars, is that where we want to start?
Yeah, so we're going to start with discontinued cars.
Okay.
First car on that list, and this comes from USA Today, is where this article is. It'll be in the show notes. The Fiat 500 is disappearing from the North American market.
Yeah, there's no room for it. I got to tell you, it's not my favorite car. It's neat because it's quirky. I have a problem with small cars getting big.
Yes. Oh my God, Mini, what are you doing?
Yeah, like the whole thing was that you were
You're a
miniature.
small car.
Yeah, like
and now you're making big cars. And
club, the sportsman club, or whatever.
Just stop it.
Yeah,
stop it, Mini.
I've seen ambulances that are smaller. I mean, so I think I say that to say the Fiat came. It was a small car. Then they did the L version or something. It was
the Abarth.
Well, the Abarth was like its sports.
Well, the sports, yeah. Oh, the L, the bigger, the longer one,
longer wheelbase, a little taller.
The Countryman.
Yeah, right. And so I was like, okay. And then I think right now we're just in a period of time where, coming out of a pretty large recession where everybody downsized big vehicles and was focused on gas savings. Things seem to have turned around, and it's one thing's very apparent that us as American consumers prefer giant ass
we
cars.
Like big fucking vehicles, don't we?
So I mean, truck sales are through the roof, SUVs are and passenger cars are just gone, let alone little dinky,
Have you ever ridden in one of the smart cars that are running around town?
I haven't.
Oh my gosh. So for those of you that aren't aware, there are, and I don't even know what make and model these guys are. Do you know what?
It's called Smart.
It's just Smart. So it's basically like you download an app on your phone and you can just, it shows you where the nearest smart car is, and you go to it, and when you're close enough, it gives you the password information to open up the car through your app, and you get in. You can drive it anywhere in the city you want. You park it at a meter when you're done. You don't put any money in the meter, and you say, okay, I'm done using this car, and you just get out. I rode in one of these things. It's about the size of a Fiat 500. It was the scariest 4.5 minutes of my life. A friend of mine, we were walking to a concert, and he was like, do you just want to hop in one of those smart cars? And I was like, what are you talking about? You want to get in one of those? He's like, yeah. And I've done it before. So I'm like, okay. And we just hopped in and went, oh my gosh, dude, the ride was horrible. Yeah. It was super sketchy because these cars are just they're driven hard, you know?
Yeah.
It was cool. You can park 2 of them in one meter spot if you're careful enough about how you park. Yeah. But I don't,
I think they're gone from Columbus now. They were.
I haven't seen as many of them around anymore.
I think last year, summer of 19. So not last year.
Now we got those damn scooters everywhere.
Those damn scooters. I hate those scooters.
Bird scooters.
But yeah, and then the other thing is I was kind of intrigued with the smart car when it came out, but then looking at some of the stats, specifically gas mileage. Really unimpressive. 3-cylinder engine. Yeah. It got less than 40 miles to the gallon.
Ooh, that's not good.
And I've had a friend. I've had my own like Honda Civic with 4 doors, full trunk.
It'll do low 30s. It would do more than that.
Yeah, I had one that did low 40s. Like, yeah. I was like, so what are you paying? I don't know.
I know one person by association that owns a smart car.
Really?
And she likes it a lot, but she doesn't know anything about cars.
She doesn't.
I don't respect her opinion at all. But
I don't know this person, but that's funny.
She's just an old lady that I know.
Loves her smart car.
She just loves it.
I think small cars are dead because they're small. I mean, what else on this list struck you as like, oh no, or...
So the very next car, the Jaguar XJ, I can't believe that car is getting... It says large sedans are falling out of favor among luxury buyers who typically prefer SUVs these days, much to your point earlier. It's SUV
almost like I read this
huge.
article.
The XJ is gone.
So let me tell you why I think the XJ needs to go away. And any car that follows this format, to be honest. It's a car without an identity. It's just a 4-door car that's expensive. The engine isn't overly impressive. The handling isn't overly impressive. The interior layout isn't overly impressive. The body lines aren't that intriguing. I mean,
I like it.
It's just an expensive car.
It's an expensive car.
To be expensive. And that's not okay with me. If you were judging something on a scale of 1 to 10 and it came up 5 in all categories, like, maybe you should discontinue the car. Who am I? But that's my feeling. I had a boss that bought one, brand new, was super excited. He always drove these ridiculously cheap cars. He had 3 kids. Last one graduated college. Literally 2 weeks later, he buys this car.
Oh my gosh.
And we'd go to lunch or go to client things in it, and it was nice. But it felt like, I don't know, it just felt like, okay, check the box. Executive drives fancy car.
So do you have the same feeling towards the XE, Jaguar XE? Does that fall into the same sort of disdain?
Yeah.
All the Jags, basically?
All the Jags. I haven't liked the Jag since 99 with the S-Type. And now looking back, I'm like, oh, I like that car.
See, now I really like the XK.
Yeah, it's even worse.
You don't like the XK?
God. No, it's so bad.
No?
That's so bad.
My God. I'm just a fan of Jaguars. If I could get an F-Type or just a normal F-Type, good gravy. You don't like those? I mean, look at the blue one. Look at the blue one.
I know. That's their performance one.
Yeah.
Which I think actually is pretty impressive. It's
just hard. They're not the most reliable cars, and the Jaguars have a bad reputation, it seems like, for falling apart and failing. And old Mercedes and old BMWs sort of have that same kind of thing where it's like they're really well built at first, and I don't know if it's a combination of people just driving them into the ground.
I think there's a difference between well built and well engineered.
Right.
I think the engineering is something to be impressed by.
Yeah.
But that same engineering doesn't seem to hold up very well.
Right.
And I think the sweet spot in that Venn diagram is ingenious engineering that lasts the test of wear and tear time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. See, I really like the way the XJ looks. I think I don't know, there's something about the front grille that and the front, the headlights, the way the LEDs kind of whip up like that. I'm a fan, and I will be sad to see it go. I know you don't feel the same way. And there's just something about, I don't think Jaguars are very common around here. You know what I mean? Like I see Mercedes, I see BMWs all the time, and obviously
It's because they're a nothing car.
Oh, I mean, come on!
Listen, it's a saturated market, man. You got to carve out market share, and it's a crowded field.
I mean, I don't know that I would ever buy one over a 3 Series or an S Class, but I still think they look good.
I got a question for you. I saw this Buick on here.
The Casada?
Yeah, the Casada. Now, the Casada aside, what do you think of Buick?
Okay, so I have this issue with Buick where growing up, I knew a lot of people that drove Buicks at our school. There were a lot of kids that's all they could afford. My grandparents drove Buicks. I hate the way they look now. And so they're running this stupid advertisement, and I'm sure all the executives at Buick are listening to our podcast right now. That stupid advertisement where the people, they're out walking and they're like, how are we all supposed to fit? And they're like, that's not my Buick. That's my Buick over there. and it's like, oh, I love that new Buick. And they're like, no, that's, that Buick? No, this Buick. It's the dumbest ad on the face of the planet. Why? Because all the cars look like shit.
Yeah, they're terrible.
When they first redid their whole redesign push where they had the similar ad where it's like there's this... people are waiting in line at a club, and it's these 2 young 30-something, maybe late 20s, beautiful women, and they're standing outside, and they're like, oh, look, this Buick rolls up. And they're like, oh, my dad drives a Buick. And then this hot guy walks out of the club and like gets in, and they're like, oh my God,
something to a Buick,
yeah, there's something to a Buick. Right. And that was okay. Like they tried to reinvent themselves with this new design language. And I felt like it was okay when they first started doing it, but now they've gone backwards. Like they didn't go anywhere. They took their design that was like kind of weird and quirky out there. And then they like pulled it back now. And they just look boring. Like they don't look.
So I was so upset that Pontiac got slashed and Buick survived.
Yeah. How?
I was so upset that I figured out how. I think.
Okay.
From what I understand, Buick is the epitome of luxury in China.
Really?
70% market share, something stupid. You drive a Buick, it is a status symbol. Heads of state. I mean, like crazy. And I don't know the genesis for this, but 20 years ago, Buick was it. I mean, and it's perpetuated itself into the ultimate Uber of luxuries.
Really? More than Lincoln, more than wow.
More than Cadillac.
More Cadillac.
More than anything. And so when you're looking at cars on the chopping block in 2008, right?
What was Pontiac doing in 2008?
Nothing.
Besides the Trans Am.
They did. They had the sister, right? Sister to the Camaro.
The Camaro, yeah.
They had,
which I always liked. I liked both those cars, Trans Am and a Camaro.
I don't know if I can say that. Especially those vintages. Oh, man.
Oh, I saw a killer Trans Am the other day. Look, it was a vintage one, bro. Hold on. Yeah. You go on with your Buick rant, and I'll find this picture.
I mean, I think at the end of the day, I think that's why they kept Buick and axed Pontiac. But I think when Pontiac went away, like I was just getting excited. It was starting to share parts with like an Australian brand. Do you remember the G8? It's a V8 supercharged engine.
Oh yeah.
And I still like the lines of that car. I hate that it's a Pontiac, but the lines are, for some reason they're striking to me. But now they're getting so old that they're all roached out and junk. But
right.
What else did Pontiac have at the time? That was it the Solstice, the 2-seater?
So the Solstice was a huge car for them.
You remember the Pontiac Vibe?
Yeah.
What the hell was that thing?
I don't know.
It was like the stepchild of the Aztec. It was weird. Like
the Aztec, another just genius car brand.
Yeah, and like
maybe that's why Pontiac went away.
Found a resurgence in like corny, like ironic culture.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like,
yeah.
Now
ironic
people,
camper culture.
Yeah.
It was before the tiny house was popular.
Right.
You bought an Aztec. That's what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. Check out this guy. Look at this car. Look at that.
Yeah.
Oh, baby.
Oh, baby, I don't know.
You don't know?
I mean,
it's got gold. He got gold rims on this thing
I do like the wheels.
to color coordinate with the rest, with the body paint. Like, you can tell.
I don't hate it.
There's something about, and I don't have a rear picture of the car, but
You should explain what we're looking at.
we are looking at a vintage, I don't know what year it is.
70 something
Pontiac Trans Am.
with the Phoenix Eagle
With the
on it.
Phoenix, which is the only way those cars should come, is with the giant
Smokey
Phoenix.
and the Bandit versions.
Yeah. It's black. It's got gold trim. It's got gold wheels. I saw it parked. I was out. My daughter was driving me around for the first time.
That's scary.
Super scary, bro. It was the scariest, most. It was like scary and wonderful all at the same time. To have a child that you've brought into the world get into a car next to you, only they're not in the passenger seat, they're in the driver's seat, and they're in control. Oh my God, it was scary. But she might be a car person. Did I get into that with you at all?
No.
So we're driving. We went to there's a church right down the road. Giant parking lot in this church is where I saw the Trans Am parked.
Gotcha.
And this was a few months back. And so we're doing laps around the church really slowly in the park. They have a giant parking lot. And so it gets to a point where we're kind of on one end heading towards the other end. And I was like, just give it a little more gas, because she's very timid at the time. And she got it up to about 20. And when she really stomped on it, she was like, ooh, that felt good.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, hey, that's the first step
Yeah, right.
in creating a car person. So I'm super excited.
That's fantastic. No, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So Buick Casada is going away, bringing us back.
Yeah.
That's kind of a sad car. I mean, Buicks in general, I think they need to. I get that they are market share, like you said, in China, if that's what it is. But they're boring. They're boring cars. And there's no reason in this day and age you need to buy a boring car.
No.
I'm sorry. There just isn't.
Remember the Rendezvous?
Yeah.
That was terrible. And Tiger Woods drove it as like a sponsor.
Listen, hey, I'll drive one as a sponsor.
Well, yeah,
Rendezvous.
but,
Give me a call, baby.
He would show up at Firestone. So back where we used to live up towards Akron, like he pulled up to a Starbucks that I was at in a Buick Rendezvous.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and this was when he was married to Elin or Enid or whatever her name was. She gets out of the car and goes, grabs 2 coffees and comes back, and it's just me and Tiger. Literally, I could have rolled down the window.
You were parked next to him?
Yeah, high five. He pulled right in. It's like, is that what? And he would not look at me.
Oh, I'm sure.
And I'm looking at the car. I'm like, is that a Buick Rendezvous?
Wow. Putting Tiger Woods on blast in this podcast.
Tiger Woods. Come on.
Come on, that guy.
He wouldn't even say hi.
And at that time, it's not like he was on a smartphone. What was he doing? Reading a book or some shit? Like, what's he doing in Starbucks? Like, come on.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think. Was it 03?
Yeah, so
02?
No smartphones of any kind at that point.
I mean, they're limited.
No.
PDAs,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. You had a BlackBerry. Maybe he's on his BlackBerry.
Yeah.
Checking his emails, I'm sure.
Yeah, seeing what his check from Buick was going to be.
Tiger Woods ain't checking his own emails. I'm sorry.
Certainly wasn't getting his own coffee that day.
So, okay, we're going to move on to one that's, I think maybe the biggest surprise on this list. The Lincoln MKC is getting canceled for this year.
I still don't believe that.
When we just read that auto manufacturers are sort of doubling down in the SUV and the larger truck market, is it not big enough? I don't know.
So my whole thing is, I'm not a Lincoln guy. I like the tailgate of this thing. I'm intrigued by it, and I'll tell you why. So in that picture, you can see the tailgate, right?
Yeah.
2 things. The first, I think, walking past this in real life, there's one that parks in the deck. It looks like a Porsche.
It looks like a Porsche from the back. Absolutely.
And I cannot get over how beautiful that taillight setup is.
Yeah.
Because it is so Porsche-esque.
Yeah.
Now, my second fun fact, I'm curious about this, maybe people know. I thought it was federal law that your taillights in America had to be fixed to a panel that was not mobile, which is why you don't see brake lights on
integrated into
tailgates.
tailgates.
Or
I don't know
truck.
about that.
And this is the only car that defies that logic.
Oh, you're right. It is. They are locked in there.
That is one tailgate unit, and I cannot find another example of this anywhere across any brand.
I've never noticed that before.
So yeah, that's my love affair infatuation with this car, and so it has nothing to do with why it's going away or not going away. But I love the taillights, and then in that I was almost certain, because I get often angry at design.
Yeah, me too.
Because of what they do with the reflective stuff and bullshit. But if you look at any car, any car, the brake light itself is on the rear quarter panel, and any integration into the trunk lid or hatch is reflective in nature or running light.
Yeah,
not brake light. And this is the only car that's not true on.
Yeah, I don't know. That's bizarre.
Yeah.
I wonder if maybe it's just going to get, because I can't imagine Lincoln's going to do away with this vehicle as far as like the segment, right? They're not going to get out of the SUV, because it's kind of like a crossover, less SUV. I wonder if they're doing away with this car, but they're going to come out with a new one that's named something else that maybe is tweaked more, you know what I mean, to fit. Because that's Lincoln's bread and butter, man.
That's not ugly, right? I mean,
that cabin, we're looking at that cabin shot of the car. I like the way that looks.
I might get one of these, actually. You know
like the
what?
way it looks.
I get one now that they're discontinued, or will be. I might be able to find good.
Now, you would do that over a Cadillac?
Yes, 100%.
Oh, really?
100%.
See, I'm Cadillac all day. Not to mention that my nickname at work is Cadillac.
Is it really?
It is. Yeah. They call me Cadillac at work. It's the greatest nickname on the planet. And so it started out as a joke because I got all the new shit, because I was a new employee. And so I got the new computer, the new monitor, the new everything in the biggest room at the time. But they call me Cadillac. They gave me I have a Cadillac like little hubcap that they gave me once, and it hangs up in my office. I love it.
Fantastic.
But I would absolutely get a Cadillac over a Lincoln as far as SUVs go.
Really?
Yeah.
I see. First of all, I'm not a fan of the crossover SUV. I don't like.
Oh no, I wouldn't want a big one.
Yeah, I don't like so you're talking Escalade, right?
I'm talking Escalade.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would I do an Escalade over a Navigator? No.
Okay.
I think the new Navigator is head and shoulders over an Escalade, because I don't think Cadillac, in my humble opinion, has demonstrated any close to the amount of value they need to tell me that that's not a Suburban that's rebadged. You can't do that. And I know that the Navigator is the Explorer or the Expedition,
right? Yeah.
But
see, I just think that the Escalade, it looks better, in my opinion, than the Navigator does. I'm trying to find a big enough picture.
They didn't do anything except hype the price, though. Like, looks aside, I think they're both really good looking luxury SUVs.
They are. Yeah.
I don't like one over the other, or hate one more than the other. I am a Chevy guy and have had, GMC, General Motors products, been in Suburbans.
Both those interiors look pretty good, though, if I'm being honest.
And then as soon as you open it up, though, it's like the knobs are the same. The light, I mean, I don't know. I'm not a fan.
I'm not a fan of the Navigator's wood pan. I hate wood paneling in cars.
Do you really?
I can't get with it. I would rather have carbon fiber or brushed aluminum or leather stitched. I think part of that comes from being a guitar person, that like I want wood grain to be a specific contrast value and a specific color. And like if I could go in and like pick out, like, okay, I want, if you gave me a choice of 10 different wood grains or whatever, and I could pick one, maybe then I go for wood grain in a car, but I don't know that I could do it.
I think it's just incredibly hard to keep clean. Like,
oh yeah, absolutely.
It's not real wood. I don't know what it is.
Well, it's probably real wood that's been, laminated,
heavily modified.
Yeah. Just make it aluminum and like paint it, or, do something.
Have you seen the black wood grain? Like,
I like black wood grain a lot. I'm a fan of that for sure. So if we could do black wood grain in everything,
then you're good.
Sign me up right now. Here was another big one. The Chevy Impala is going away.
That's interesting.
For 2020. It says here that they're not nearly as affordable as compacts or mid-sized cars, and their functionality has been taken out by the SUV market.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I wouldn't even get excited to rent one of those.
Well, you want to talk about a nothing car.
Yeah.
I mean, this is way more of a nothing car than the Jaguar, in my opinion. At least the Jag,
No,
you have
they're the same nothing car in different categories. Right?
in a different price category.
Yeah, it's a nothing car compared to all the other $65,000 cars.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
this is
yeah.
a nothing car compared to all the other
$40,000.
Like $40,000 now for this stuff.
Yeah.
And it doesn't do anything. It isn't impressive in any way. It doesn't convey anything. I think
It's a vanilla car.
Yeah.
And if you look
Thank you.
at
Yeah, that's perfect.
if you look at like what Toyota's doing, you know, what Honda's doing in their four-door saloons, they're way better looking, way better performing.
Even with the fake arrow.
Even with the fake arrow. Oh God.
But
can
at
we get
least
into the fake arrow?
it's
Well, this
got
has got fake arrow on it too, but
yeah, not like the new Camrys.
no. God.
Yeah, no, I think it's probably time. I mean, it'll make a resurgence at some point.
They'll keep the name.
The nameplate were something in the future, but
Yeah.
it doesn't make sense to keep it around right now. So, what did you find as like best car? Because this is, I'm not sure I would agree with anybody's list on best car, but
Okay, so the flip side to the coin, there's a few other cars that are being discontinued. Just check out that website link; it'll be in the show notes. We're gonna shift into something a little more upbeat. The cars that totally blew people away in this year, 2019. I've got a few different write-ups of car of the year here, and I'm going to start in kind of a weird place. I'm going to list off a group of cars, and you're going to tell me what the similarity is here. Okay.
Okay.
So here's the cars: the 2020 Corvette, an M2 Competition,
All right.
a Nissan GTR Nismo,
Okay.
a Lotus Evora GT,
Whoa.
McLaren 600 LT Spider, a Lexus RCF Track Edition,
These are wildly.
Mazda Miata RF Club, Toyota Supra, a Lamborghini Huracan Envo, the Porsche 911 Carrera S. Now, what do all of those cars have in common?
I have no idea.
The commonality is that according to Road and Track, they all lost out to the Hyundai Veloster N as car of the year. Yeah, that's the similarity, that all of those cars, according to Road and Track. Now, I have to respect them as a website. I don't know if they're an online publication only.
Road and Track said
All of those cars, car of the year, Hyundai Veloster N.
I mean, you gotta elaborate. I don't under. I mean, what are the criteria for the judging here?
So they brought in a lot. Matt Farah is part of a group that judged these cars. Now, I have to disagree with how they did it. So the way they did it is they took all of those cars to a track, and they started at the track. After the track, they ruled out all but 6, and they took those 6 out to the normal roads and drove it. So I have a kind of a problem with that there. Like why you would rule out cars on a track for where you're going to do 99% of your driving on normal roads. I feel like track is sort of where you should end a competition, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
no, I agree with that.
You know
Make
what I
that
mean?
your like.
Make that the last, the feather in your cap of,
Yeah.
well, these 2 cars or these 3 cars are fabulous on the road. They're all, heads and tails above everything else. But this one's 2 seconds faster on the track,
That's
so it's the car of the year.
Yeah.
That's how I would handle it, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
yeah.
But that's not the way they did it. I don't know if there's some sort of behind-the-scenes situation there. So the 6 cars the thing that I also appreciated with the Road and Track Car of the Year is they also supplied a list of cars that they wanted to include, but for one reason or another, they couldn't include. So the cars on this list: Audi R8, Aston DBS Superleggera, Ferrari F8 Tributo. Come on, Ferrari.
Yeah.
Help me out here.
Oh, a little out.
Shelby GT500, AMG GTR Pro.
Why couldn't they get these?
So just various reasons. So like the R8 wasn't ready. The Aston Martin elected not to be included in the competition for whatever reason.
Listen, I'm not an Aston Martin like die hard, but good for them. Like, we're better than your fake website. Matt who? Come on.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was a whole group of drivers. I don't have all their lists, all their names
I'm
listed
just
here.
being mean for no reason.
The Ferrari was not available to test. There were several hypercars. They didn't want to include hypercars in the list because they didn't feel it was fair. I kind of agree with that.
That's legit.
You know what I mean?
You gotta have you can't compare cars across classes. I mean, and if you do like this, it's wildly difficult.
And they have the McLaren.
It almost feels like clickbait. Like,
right.
I mean, like,
absolutely. Yeah.
How are we? And look, we're clicking.
Yeah. And I think the Shelby wasn't ready, and I don't know what the deal was with the AMG GTR. I love that car, by the way. That would be one of the cars that would be in my magical infinity garage, as we talked about last week with you. If I had infinity money and infinity space. Yeah. Well, not even infinity space. We're talking 5 cars that I own.
That's one of them.
AMG GTR, because I'm a sucker for a 2-seater roadster car.
Yeah.
And that car's fantastic.
And this one still puts the engine up front, right?
Oh my God, yeah. It's got a huge front end. Yeah, baby.
Look at the 2020 AMG GTR Coupe.
Oh man, that car is
starting at 162.9.
Well, hey, listen, this Infinity Garage. Well, we're talking Infinity money here.
I'm not mad at you.
I saw one of those parked, and we walked by it, and even my wife, who is not a car person, was like, "Ooh, what is that thing?"
So these doors don't open up like.
Not like the the SLS that used to open up.
Right.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I'm sure you could mod that in, but I love that car. I love the way it sounds. I love the way it looks. That's the only thing that I mean, come on, man. That car is sexy. Just oozing sex appeal. And
Man, that is a good looking car.
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for black cars.
Oh man, the one I saw was white, and it's still, like I said, usually white cars, they kind of blend in. Like, they don't really turn heads the way that black and red and those kind of colors. But even white, it made my wife go, "What is that?" Yeah, it comes in a neon green. That's fantastic.
I saw that.
Oh man,
I don't know if I appreciate that.
Oh bro.
That just seems ostentatious.
Oh, yeah. Dude, I would get the green one in a second. I want to own a lime green car at some point. I want to have a lime green car.
If I had to get the green one, I'd wrap it. Satin black.
They do satin black details that look pretty cool on those cars. You could get some satin black stripes and stuff like that. But I love the AMG GTR. I think that's
60 in 3.5 seconds.
So either way, none of those cars
that wasn't on there either.
On the list. So the cars that made the cut out of that list that I gave you, the McLaren 600 LT, the Hyundai Veloster, the 911 Carreras, the 2020 Corvette, the Miata, and the Lotus.
So what were the 6 that made it from the track?
From the track, yeah. So that eliminated the Lambo, the Lexus, the Nissan GTR got eliminated, the M2 Competition got eliminated. All these cars got eliminated from their test.
And this hatchback won.
The hatchback won. Yeah. The reason that they say that and I'm going to quote the article here. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Yep. I don't like the way they look.
Yeah.
Pure and simple.
Dude, it's remarkably affordable.
It's super, and that's part of it. That's part of why.
Holy cow.
Yeah. They're super affordable. And that is what I love.
$30,000 with the performance package.
Yes.
$29,500.
Yeah. And it comes in a manual, and the exhaust sounds good stock. It burbles and pops like
275 horsepower.
Yeah. It's a hell of a car, and I would get one if they didn't look the way they do. I don't like the way the thing looks.
We already discussed this, so you have to get one, and you know why.
It's exactly the kind of car I should want as a father, as somebody who needs usable backseat. Now, the backseats on that aren't as usable as like a Golf or like a Focus ST or something like that.
This is your next car, dude. I mean, I'm sorry, but it's done.
Well,
how do you?
Being it that it's a Hyundai,
it's too bad. Rebadge it.
My last
debadge it.
And I would have to do that. I think I would debadge it if I got one. My last name is Hunyadi, and it's got the same letters as a Hyundai, only they're in a different order. And people, so back in the day when people used to call you up on your phone, like and try to sell you shit, everybody called me Hyundai. Is Mr. Hyundai there? And that's how I always knew that they were, because this was back before you had,
this
caller
is Honda's
ID.
residence.
Is Mr. Hyundai there?
Oh man.
So yeah, I think I have to own a Hyundai at some point.
I don't know if it's because of the price tag, but I am super intrigued with this car.
So I'm going to quote the article now. The Veloster N is what a great front-wheel drive car should feel like. A delight that welds a smile to your face every time you drive it. It cheers you on, treating you like a hero. And it came from a company that had no reason to build it. Chevrolet has to make a Corvette. Porsche a 911. Short of a giant meteorite or nuclear winter, those names will always exist. But cars like the Veloster N are more special, crafted not of obligation, but for the sheer joy of driving.
Oh, that's poetic. That's what the article
And
says?
that's why the Hyundai Veloster N is Road and Track's 2020 Performance Car of the Year. Yeah, that's what it says. So now that's very poetic and beautifully written, I must say. I don't know. And I've heard...
It's the Hunyadi Holiday Savings Event. $500 in savings or 2.9% APR financing for 60 months.
There you go. So go out and buy one for Christmas.
Or
put a big bow
per
on
month.
it. So I don't have a problem with their logic that this car, and it was unanimous across all the judges. I think Matt Farah said he preferred the Porsche, even though during the article they said it was unanimous. But maybe they said it's almost unanimous. Matt Farah thought the Carrera S should have won Car of the Year, but the Veloster was in second for him, I think. But he has said it's a fantastic car. I have a problem with the styling a little bit. Again, we're getting into that hatchback thing, and I don't know... if I could get into...
I literally just built this car in 20 seconds.
Yeah.
20 seconds. I loaded it with every option possible. The price tag came out to $31,000.
That's insane.
$95.
Insane. So that's... and that's part of it. In the article, it does read about how...
Holy shit.
You can't compare... It's tough to say, yeah, go out and spend $160,000 on a Porsche when you can spend 31 and fully option this thing out, and it'll get you there.
You know what? I'm sold. I'm
Pete's gonna get one.
I don't know how you don't. And we've said this in 6 episodes, 5, whatever we've done. Like, it is a fun and engaging car.
And I think that's what it is that it's
unintimidating.
Yes.
It inspires you and encourages you, even though you may not be a great driver. I think this is what... Fuck yes.
What it does make me happy for, styling aside,
man,
it makes me happy for car culture moving forward. I think that the Hyundai Veloster N is a step in the right direction. I think it's a step in the right direction in that the goal being a fun, engaging car to drive, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't, it's what you said, it's got 270 horsepower. So that number's not going to light up a spreadsheet or anything like that. But if you get the horsepower enough and you get the driving feel and engagement enough, it'll be a fantastic car. And so I think that if that car continues to be popular, hopefully other manufacturers will get on board and say, hey, we ought to look into making more engaging cars to drive because people will want to buy them.
Yeah.
I've seen several of these things driving around. That's part of the reason why I know I don't like the way they look is because I've seen them on commutes and I've seen them in and around town.
Yeah.
But it sort of falls into the same category that the Civic Type R does for me, where if I could get in the car and never have to look at the way the outside looks and just drive it, I would be fine.
Yeah.
But we can't neglect the way we feel about the outside looks of a car. I get it when you're driving it, you're inside it.
I'd like to know how this stacks up against Civic Type R, or I guess it would be an SI, and a Golf R.
Golf R. It's faster than the Golf R.
Is it really?
Yeah. People have directly compared it, in fact, to the Golf R.
It just smokes everything.
It's faster on the track. It's better to drive. The Golf R has it beat as far as backseat legroom and headroom. So it's bigger in the back seats. You see the way that car sort of like almost has a fastback type.
What about like a Ford Fiesta ST or
I don't know how it compares to either one, or like an RS or something.
Yeah.
RS probably would. I don't know.
It would be something to.
But people that have driven all of those cars prefer the Veloster N. They just love it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is an incredible. See, we don't always discuss what we're going to talk about, and then he hits me with this thing, and now I can't get it. I've got a button on the screen here that says next, : apply for credit. And I've been hovering over it.
Listen, I absolutely am gonna test drive one when it comes to the next car.
How can you not?
I am absolutely gonna look into
and
it.
Be totally honest. Be like, I need it for the weekend. I can't commit to $30,000 without knowing what this thing is like for more than two days.
Yeah. So that was Road and Track, their car of the year. I don't like necessarily the way they tested it. And eliminating all those cars.
I think the test is bullshit. I think it being the car of the year might be stretchy at best, but I am not mad given that it is a driver's car that won.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like it's a driver's car that won. I haven't driven it, but.
So another publication that put out their car of the year was MotorTrend.
Oh, okay. You're talking different. Yeah. Go ahead.
So we'll switch. So we just did Road and Track. So MotorTrend put out their car of the year, and it's the 2020 Corvette.
Yeah.
So we touched on that a little bit. This test, I'm sort of torn on.
Okay.
They had 33 cars, and they didn't list. I couldn't find the complete list of 33 cars that they had for car of the year. But the finalists, I kind of felt like were a little weak.
Really?
Okay, so here are the finalists. Ready? So we've got the Audi A8. Yeah.
Wow.
The Kia Soul.
Okay.
Mercedes A-Class. Now here's where a good one. Mercedes AMG GT, which we just saw. Porsche Carrera S.
These were all finalists in the same contest?
Yeah.
Kia Soul?
Kia Soul. I'm only going according to what I could find on their website when I'm talking car of the year.
I got beef.
Carrera S, Subaru Legacy, Tesla Model 3, which if you're looking, hey, performance car, that thing's quick.
Yeah.
That thing's fast. And the Toyota Supra. Those were all the finalists. And that's what I mean, where they're kind of weak as far as finalists go. I feel like your MotorTrend.
It feels like more of a hype list than like a contest of sorts.
Yeah, like things that are missing from that list. Any sort of Ferrari, any sort of McLaren, any sort of Lamborghini, all missing from the finalist list for car of the year. You're not even going to include one of those?
Yeah.
That seems like a miss to me.
Yeah.
You've got the Porsche Carrera S is always going to be in running for car of the year, no matter what.
Yeah.
I think two Mercedes made the list. I felt like it was kind of weak. The write-up on their car of the year was kind of weak as well.
Yeah.
But anyway, the Corvette took it. They really felt like performance-wise, pricing-wise.
We talked about this.
And we covered it. The package is a
package
crazy package. The interior is there. The exterior, take it or leave it, but the performance absolutely is there.
Yeah.
It's a sports car that's killing supercars.
Yeah.
It's going to be real interesting to see what the 2020 Corvette is going to do to the market next year, and I'm excited. And get this, I don't know if you saw, they're all sold out.
Oh, I'm sure.
They're all the 2020 Corvettes, they're all sold out. You can't get
everybody's
one.
allocations spoken for.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to wait till 2029.
I think 2026, 27.
You think so? You got a raise coming? There's a promotion in your future?
Yeah, maybe.
This podcast takes off.
Yeah. There we go. That's wishful thinking, sir. Okay, so a few others here we're going to touch on. We've got BBC Top Gear put out their car of the year. Now, they've got categories, which is kind of cool.
I agree with that the most. Like, you can't in good faith compare everything that we just talked about in the same category.
Absolutely. I think it's a shame to compare a Kia Soul to a 2020 Corvette. You just can't do it, right? So they have just a couple of, I'll run through just a few of the winners. So the family car of the year, Audi RS6.
Okay.
We talked about the Avant a little bit last week or 2 weeks ago.
My heart is still broke.
Oh, man.
Oh.
The Audi RS6 Avant is a beautiful car. I love the way Audi's moving with their styling. I think they're really starting to take it to BMW as far as the styling goes. BMW used to be, you bought an Audi if you wanted to sort of blend in and sort of be the sleeper car. Yeah. And now,
no,
not so much anymore. Not so much.
Now BMW's moved into obscurity with their various multiple lines of junk.
Yeah. So the Top Gear's hot hatch of the year is the Focus ST, which I think is a great car. Interesting that they chose the
Veloster N in that.
I'm sure it was in the running.
Okay.
I'm sure it was in the running.
Right.
Interesting they chose the ST and not the RS. I would like a deeper dive there because the RS is the higher horsepower number.
Is it?
Oh, yeah. RS competes, and price too. I wonder if that maybe had something to do with it. The ST's maybe the sweet spot there. I personally wouldn't buy an RS. It's the same cost as a Mustang GT.
Yeah.
So I'm going Mustang GT every time there. That's an easy choice. Muscle car of the year, Shelby GT 500.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Absolutely makes sense.
I mean, think about what else has come out this year, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Camaro's junk.
And the Hellcat is
I'm surprised.
the same.
Yeah, I'm surprised the Dodges didn't take it.
Well, I think I am a little bit too, especially considering that the GT500 is not manual.
Yeah.
You can only get it in a double clutch. And we didn't roast that car at all this year, but I feel like I think maybe one of the first episodes next year we'll roast the GT500. Shelby is rolling over in his grave.
Yeah.
That you didn't fucking make his car in a manual. Like, how could you, Ford?
Yeah.
How could you do that? You know?
For shame.
For shame. I mean, I get it. Yeah, you can flip a paddle faster than you can shift. I get it. But come on.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I also understand that there's a little bit of an issue when you get above a certain horsepower number, that driving a manual car can be tricky. It can, you can really, the clutch has to be real heavy because it's holding back all that horsepower, but still.
Yeah.
You made a Mustang.
Yeah. Hey, man, no argument
Not
out of
outside
me.
of manual.
No argument
Shame
out
on
of
you.
me.
Moving on. Their performance car of the year. Now their final category in Top Gear was they have an overall car of the year. So this, even though I'm saying performance car of the year, is one that we don't get in the States. The Renault Megane RS Trophy R.
What does that look like?
I'm gonna pull up a picture of it right now.
Wow.
I looked at it. It looks like kind of like it looks very European. But I do think it's a shame that we don't get this car in the States because it's kind of like it's Renault's answer to the Veloster N, and I think that it looks better than the Veloster does. I don't know. It absolutely costs more.
Does it?
Than the Hyundai does.
It's not a bad looking car.
No, I'm not crazy about the badge being so huge in the middle there. I think if the badge was kind of smaller or not. I have this issue with badges on cars anyway. I don't like them. I feel like a car should live and die on its headlights and the grill.
Now that's a conversation. Yeah.
See, I think that the car badge is an old antiquated thing that was around when people didn't know what was what and still is that way. I think a car looks a lot better without it. Generally speaking, I'm sure there are cars out there like Mercedes kind of nails the front badge. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that GTR, their front badge looks great.
Well, now they're integrating like sensors and stuff into them.
Yeah, they put the lane keep assist and stuff in.
Yeah.
They hide them in there. And same thing, like they hide the rear parking. I could take it or leave it.
It's
very
definitely
European.
Yeah,
it's very European as far as a hot hatch goes. So I'm going to default to the geniuses over at Top Gear. Because I know they know what they're talking about. And so this, by the way, I didn't mention it. This list is a compilation of people from the show, writers for the show, and the magazine people. They all sort of got together and agreed on what the winners were in each of these categories.
Oh, okay.
So it's not just one or the other.
Yeah.
Four-door car of the year, Tesla Model 3.
Boo.
Took it for them.
Boo.
Boo. I agree.
Boo.
I boo that decision for sure. When the Tesla came out, sure.
Yep.
But now it's done. It's been around. It's doing its thing.
Tesla's been the same car.
It's been the same car since it came out, and it's fine for what it is.
Yeah.
But to say it's four-door car of the year, boo. Game changer of the year,
Game changer. Oh, this is interesting.
the Porsche Taycan.
Boo.
No. No, I love the Porsche Taycan.
It's a nice car. Listen, it's fine. Did we talk about this? We talked about this.
A little. I can't remember if we did or not.
I know.
Whether it made it in the podcast or not, I don't know.
Game changer. Ah, man.
Here's the thing. The cool thing about the Taycan, however the hell you pronounce it, And Matt Farah just drove this car, and his one of the things that he constantly says about this car in particular is he cannot believe that you could just go out and buy one because of how fast it is.
Really?
Yeah, it is insanely quick. And not only is it insanely quick, so with the Tesla, the P100D, in order to get the crazy launch, you've got to go through all these steps, right? You have to have the battery over a certain percentage of charge, and you have to go through all these things, and you can only really rip off like a sub 3 second 0 to 60 a couple of times. According to him, the Taycan will do it whenever you want. So you can literally, like, you have 20% of your battery left, and you want to blow it on a super hard launch, to 100, it'll let you do it, and then you'll run out of juice and you'll be stuck, which I think that's really cool. And not only that, it's got 2 gears. So remember, that was one of your concerns was that these EV cars, they don't need gears because of the way they sort of work. The Taycan has 2 gears in it. And so I think that could be a stepping stone,
like an overdrive
to cars, EV cars having more than 1 gear for the sake of performance, potentially.
Wow. Yeah, I'm just jaded, bitter guy that doesn't want.
You don't want the future that's coming.
I don't want the
old
future.
Man.
I know. It's so bad, but I don't.
So that was their game changer of the year. Overall car of the year for Top Gear, BBC's Top Gear, the Porsche Taycan. It took it.
I'd like to say I'm surprised, but it's BBC Top Gear.
Yeah. You knew they were going to pick a German car. So yeah, that's the car of the year. I think the Taycan is cool in that it is an EV Porsche that drives like a Porsche.
Yeah.
It's a driver's car. Yeah. It's got crazy performance.
Agree.
Yeah. If they can figure out some sort of way to make the gearing more interesting, to make the noise more interesting, because that's the thing.
Yeah.
It kills me that EVs don't make good noise. They pipe fake noise in. It's gonna take them some time to figure all that out. But I think it's a great stepping stone to say, hey, here's a balls to the wall performance enthusiast car that's an EV. It's a step forward into the future, I think. I want to quickly poo on Autocar, just real quick. They had too many categories. So BBC did a great amount of categories.
Yeah.
Autocar has way too many categories. I don't know if you're familiar with Autocar. No. They put out some really great video content on YouTube. Go check them out on YouTube. They're really, really good, by the way. Autocar UK. They're great. But they've got, listen to all, I'm going to rattle off some categories here. Okay. Best supercars, best hardcore sports cars, best affordable sports cars, best super sports cars, best saloon cars, best super saloon cars. Okay, you get the picture.
Yeah,
they really broke it down too much. They went way too far. So I feel like Top Gear did the appropriate amount.
Yeah,
where it's like family car, hot hatch, sports car, whatever.
6 major categories.
Right, that's all you need, right? And they had an impressive list of cars that they picked. You've got the AMG GT, you've got the Porsche 911, you've got the Cayman GT4, which I thought was cool that they included that. Wow. The Renault, the Supra, Hurricane Evo, Miata. They chose the Ariel Atom 4 as their car of the year. That thing's not a car. It doesn't have any panels on it.
Oh my god!
It's got fucking metal piping that goes up the side of the car.
I thought that was a defunct car brand now.
I don't think so. They're still making cars.
I think they got sold to somebody else.
It doesn't have a roof.
No.
It doesn't. Some of them don't come with windshield. Like how
you
the
can't
hell
have an impressive go-kart.
No, it's a go-kart.
Yeah.
That's exact. It's not go-kart of the year. It's car of the year.
Yeah.
Shame on you, Autocar, for putting that car as your car of the year. Go to hell, man. If you have to wear goggles or a motorcycle helmet to drive around in a car, it's not a car. I'm sorry. It's not.
Fun.
It's a toy.
It's
absolutely fun.
100%.
Would take it out on a track in an instant, but to call it car of the year, I'm sorry. It's just not.
Yeah.
Wrong.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, the 3 cars, the Taycan, the 2020 Corvette, and the Veloster N. I think the car that I'm most excited by, honestly, is the Corvette.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. I think that the Veloster, I think all 3 of them, I think they're all really great stepping stones to the future. I think that the Hyundai Veloster N is a great car that came out of nowhere that says, hey, we're building a car for enthusiasts. I think the Porsche is a great look forward at what EVs could be like in the future. If you stake this as like, this is step 1, in step 7, we're going to be somewhere that we all love.
Yeah.
And I think the same thing with the Corvette, to take a Corvette that for all intents and purposes has been the same for 40 years and to say, we're going to change the entire design language. We're going mid-engine. We're going, supercar. To me, I think that's the biggest deal.
I didn't think you were going to go pick the Corvette.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? Why is that?
I really didn't. I thought you were going to pick the Porsche. And I am torn. My gut reaction is Porsche.
Yeah.
Of the 3.
I think the Porsche is the most impressive as far as performance goes. The Porsche would absolutely blow the Corvette away.
Yeah.
What would have been cool is if MotorTrend, and they didn't list it as one of their contenders. It would have been interesting to see if the Porsche Taycan was included in their list of finalists, and it wasn't on the list that I saw.
Huh.
So
if the Corvette was a manual, I think I'd pick the Corvette.
Absolutely. I'm picking it in despite it being a dual clutch.
I'm
picking
it only because because I think it's the best car. I think for the year, I think what made the most impact, but it's tough because you have some really with the Porsche, you've pushed the envelope.
It's totally pushing
and
the limit.
Engineering in such a magnificent way, and that by itself stands alone. And you're like, wow, that's magnificent, right?
Yeah.
But on the other side of that, the Corvette had such an identity shift and such a commitment to dramatic evolution.
And looking towards the future as well. I mean, that's what the Porsche was, looking towards the future.
That's an exciting change this year too. So it's
it wasn't the Carrera that did it. Yeah. They came out with a new car.
Yeah.
And Chevy was like, you know what the Corvette is. This is what it is now.
Yeah.
This is what it is for the future.
Yeah.
And to me, that's what pushes the Corvette over the top.
Yeah. That's kind of like the they took more of a risk with that, right? Because you can discontinue the Taycan if it doesn't sell through or there isn't.
And it's a different
name. You still
name.
have your portfolio of cars that everybody knows.
You still got the Cayman, you still got the 911.
But if you mess up on the Corvette,
if you screw the Corvette up, oh my God.
So the stakes are higher.
The stakes are higher.
You've convinced me, Corvette.
There you go.
Corvette car of the year.
Joyride's car of the year, the 2020 Corvette.
See how we came to that? Right in real time. Well, my friend, one more episode done.
That's it.
Yeah. Thanks for listening. If you like what you heard, you want to hear more, you want to get engaged, see what else we have, please follow us, subscribe. Rob, where can they find us?
You can hit us up on Instagram at Joyride Pod. Check us out on the web at joyridepod.com. Feel free to reach out to us. Send us an email, question if you want. If you have a car buying question, like you're considering a couple of things, we'll give you our picks, and, you'll be on the show, or your question will be. Our email address is contact@joyridepod@gmail.com.
Special thanks to our episode sponsor, Highbank Distillery. If you feel so inclined, please go visit their website, highbankco.com. All right, guys.
Thanks a lot for listening, and enjoy the ride.
What other cars were on there? Oh, I saw this one.
Hold on, we're going to take a break.
Okay.
I'll open this up because I need refreshment.
Rob is off work and thus not concerned about what time he has to wake up tomorrow.
No.
Also, we do this in his basement, so he doesn't have far to go. But I am going to partake because I want to taste this smokiness. Oh, now that's a soundbite.